Oseo.
Oseo.
That's a Cherokee greeting. Wave the great feather for the good of it. Oh, here. Today we're celebrating the birthday of Changing Woman. Atanaitlihe. She starts off the month of February for this great celebration. And we're going to start right off celebrating it with Claudia. Claudia's going to step in here, and she has learned Navajo songs while we were there in Dinata. And she's going to step in and start right off with the song. She'll tell you about that.
This is a baby song I learned when I was working with children in the Children's Hospital in Tucson, or in Phoenix, Arizona. So. Oh, henne ya, henne ya, oh, henne ya, henne ya, henne ya, yo, oh, henne ya, henne ya, henne ya, way, henne ya, oh, henne ya, henne ya, oh, henne ya, henne ya. Hennea yo, hennea, hennea, hennea way, hennea, ho ho ho.
Oh, okay. Thank you, Claudia. Hennea, it means she lives, she lives. That's what the song is saying. And we're going to have some ways of talking all about this, how it's come about. And I'm going to start right off a little bit here. Tony Hillerman, you all heard of him. He's written a number of books where the Navajo is the main feature, and the Navajo police there, especially Joe Leaphorn. So I just want to read just a little bit to you to introduce this. One of his friends that he stops and sees is John McGinnis. He is the proprietor of the Short Mountain Trading Post, which he has located here between Tuba City and Navajo Mountain. That's on the west side, more or less. And actually, Leaphorn is, sort of investigating a case, that's come to the line. And so he's asked his friend there at the trading post what he could tell him. And without going into the story, I just want to read this little bit that John McGinnis is telling him. The way we have it around Short Mountain, the fourth world isn't supposed to end like the third world did, with water monster making a flood. This time the evil is supposed to cause the Sun Father to make it cold, and the Dene are supposed to hole up somewhere over in the Chuska Range. I think Beautiful Mountain opens up for them. Then when the time is just right, they do the Sun Way, or the calling back way, and call back the light and warmth. And this way they start the fifth world. So we have these number of worlds. I don't really know too much about the first and second world. And here we're coming into about from the fourth to the fifth world. So sort of with this, as we lived in Arizona, Claudia's friend, who was the Hopi woman from Second Mesa, that was Josephine Kaladica, she told Claudia that we had sealed off, the mesas from, anybody coming in from outside, and we had the ceremony for the fifth world, beginning of the fifth world. And so as to see that we have entered into that time. So the first person that entered into the fifth world, here, you can look here, this is Cicada. That Donichidi. Donichidi was the first person that coming from the fourth world into the fifth world. And the fifth world was, I don't know, had the tendency of water birds and shore birds. They seemed to kind of run things at that time. And so Cicada, he had to overcome them. And so he had these arrows, these flint tip arrows that he passed through his body like that. And that gave him a kind of immunity from these birds in case they might want to peck at him, so forth. And so this is the image for Cicada, Donichidi, and up here the symbol of him or her is the crossed arrows with the flint tips, and that remains that way there ever after. So we can have this. The Aztecs also, they had what they called the fifth sun, that we are in the time of the fifth sun. So these are ways of counting the world in Native America. Now my centerpiece up here, if you can go way up here to this painting. This painting I've replicated from a petroglyph, is what we would call it. And where it's located, I had a truck, an old pickup truck with a camper shell, and years ago we were really able to drive around all kind of places there in the Southwest and so forth, and just be drawn to things. And this petroglyph is there in New Mexico, and what it looks like is that there's this huge boulder with a flat face, and it's real low. It's right on, the edge of a wide, shallow, dry wash, and the whole face of it accommodated whoever had made this wonderful petroglyph. I put the colors in, but otherwise the exact detail of the petroglyph I've been faithful to. And so we have a story to go with that. There is another person, and that is Horny Toad. Let's see if you can go way over there. That way over there, that's Claudia's painting. That's Claudia's painting for the Horny Toad. The Horny Toad's name is Rockshirt. And so that's a wonderful painting of Rockshirt. And Claudia says that what's going on there is the Rockshirt is hoping that the world, the desert especially, is going to return back the way it was, as those buildings perhaps are going to fall into an earthquake here, so that we have that Rockshirt. And we can come over here to this little watercolor I did. This little watercolor here is the actual place of the birth of changing woman, Atanaelide. That means the woman, when she gets old, she changes back into being young again. And this painting is actually called Spruce Mountain, Spruce Hill, Cho'uri Peak, and it also means where the beginning. It's the beginning there. And alongside of that, you see I have a little ivory horny toad, Rockshirt. So what's happening is that he and his partner, Mrs. Rockshirt, they're looking up at that mountain. And on that mountain, there's an atmospheric event going on, like thunder and lightning and rain and all kinds of spectacular things going on. So he tries to locate that by setting up, two forked sticks, so that when the daytime comes, then he tries to go up there. And he tries this about 4 times without success, and until the 4th time he is able to make his way up there, and there he finds this, like a baby, in supernatural coverings, supernatural cradle board and supernatural things covering her. And this is the birth of changing woman, which he then picks her up and brings her back to his Hogan. And then we have a whole episode of the people Coyote and Yabachade, people that come to see her and receive, certain gifts and responsibilities for that. So that's how it starts. Now if we go up here to my painting, the replica here, the first one we're seeing that this is the baby. And here the baby is being figured as turquoise, which we would say plainly is very precious, and on top of her head is a white bead. This is a white bead. And up above her there, this is, pecked on the rock this way. This is meaning to be, this mountain where she was born with the atmospheric event going on there. So whoever made this, definitely know what they were doing. If you come straight all the way down here to this is my painting to say this is White Bead Girl. So the baby then becomes White Bead Girl. So that's who she is here. Get a good look at her. And then going up to the second figure up there. This is Changing Woman in her womanhood. And her head is an insect head with insect antlers on it. This is meaning that she is being conceived in the third world. And right below her chin you see a kind of a cross on her neck. This is a voice symbol, and her voice is the cicada. This is cicado's voice, so this starts right away. Then you see her hand going up there. She's holding what's called the frond of life. And this frond of life is called cho'o, meaning the spruce. And on it there are specks of red, if you can make that out. This is the flesh of Rainbow. What happened is that Rainbow made Winter Thunder jealous, and so Winter Thunder blew him to pieces, into little pieces. And why it's noted here is because he's reconstituted, he's put back together. And that is a theme, that goes on in the Navajo here. And then we come back down to the body here of Changing Woman. She's wearing an old-fashioned woven manta called Beal here. And the white figure on it, this is the symbol of Winter Thunder. That sort of resembles a swastika, but it is Winter Thunder. And then her sash belt there is, Sisliji'i. And at the end of it, you see two balls. Now that's most interesting. So if you can come over here and see this painting here, these are what those right balls are. And they're called alke naishi. And that is meaning one who follows the other. They are her handmaidens, and it means, this is sunset and this is dawn. And they have a special cult, is what I would call it, of their own. And somehow I was able to see these. So that's who they are there at the end of her sash belt. Then you see coming out of her other side, snakes are her pets. And the way that these snakes are arranged, that's called a travel sign. And what happens is that she travels from this place there in that part of Arizona all the way over to the Pacific Ocean where the Chumash live, the island that we now call Santa Cruz, where she becomes, the mother of the Chumash there. And then we go to the third figure over there, and here she is as a matron. And you can see the snake sign, coming out the side there where she's arrived. That square is her house of white shell. And there's a little episode how she comes out each door with a certain cane, a certain signature. And the manta of the matron here is abalone. This means that here in her matron, she has, arrived at or attained, all these colors, like you see the colors in the abalone here. So she would be kind of like, you would say, old woman of the abalone. So this is the changing woman's life cycle here, entirely here. And I have replicated it accurately. So you're seeing something very, very unusual or something. What's curious is Dinata, the Navajo country, is pretty much contained in the arc of the San Juan River that rises up, loops into southern Utah and around sort of just west of the border of New Mexico. And so there isn't anything outside of that this should be there. So consequently, as far as I know, no Navajos know of this here. And the other thing is, we were actually told that they do not want to have images of changing woman, and here's an image of changing woman. Now the figure far to the right, that's in Navajo carving, this is Devache, or maternal grandfather, and he's holding strings. He's, part of changing woman, very much a part of it. And these strings that he holds, they're different colors, and he throws them out like you would do a yo-yo. And in this way, he also determined each of the 4 directions, what their colors were, and what their names were. So this is the way the 4 directions got determined in the Navajo here. So that's Gabache. And down here, the last figure, down here towards the bottom, this mysterious little figure here. This is Grasshopper Girl. Now, Grasshopper Girl is the principal factor of the female, or parthenogenesis. She's metamorphosis, and she's the germinator, and she's the recessive double of changing woman. And she seems to be playing a flageolet. So it's very curious because you have the name grasshopper, but it certainly doesn't look like a grasshopper. But she is hopping on one foot, and I don't have a way to say that in Navajo. And then she has a rainbow over her back, certainly designating her as very, very auspicious. So here, if you go down to this shield here, this I have made this from the sand painting of, this is Grasshopper Girl. So you can really get a good look at her as she is conceived, by way of the Hatali. So again, all of this here has been very, very accurately known in the Navajo tradition that we are celebrating actually today here. If you go all the way over there, you can see a picture that this is Claudia. So we have friends there. They were the Yazis, that were Lynn and Lonnie Yazi. And Lonnie's mother was the weaver, and she lived in the hogan that he had built that is actually over in Monument Valley. We stayed with them in Kienta there, which is, more like a house, not a hogan. And here, Claudia, they dressed Claudia up as Asa Yogai, meaning white shelled woman, the sister of changing woman. And there she's holding a basket, and she's out there in the desert. And so we have a lot of knowledge and gifts that have come from the Navajo. If you come down here and you can look at this basket here, this is not the basket that's in her photograph, but this is the basket that they gave to Claudia. Lynn's father was a Hatali, and people paying for his services, as a medicine man, give him a basket, and that's what this very fine Navajo basket is. And all ceremonies have the basket in it. This basket is called, the the rock crystal star basket. Americans, for some reason, I don't know, call it a wedding basket. Maybe because they use it in a wedding, I don't know. But that's a very important basket to us. Right in front of it, this is a stone bowl, a white stone bowl with a turquoise rim. Baskets and bowls, stone or clay, are jewels. So they're known by jewel names, so this would be, a white jewel with a turquoise around it. And while we're there with the bowls, you can come over here to this bowl here. This is made by Elena Spencer, and it's a sacred bowl. Sacred would be used like ceremonially, and it has the carvings on it of the corn, of the mice, like that. So that means life, and life. The corn, created life. It created people out of it. The Yevache, he took a couple of corns and put them between blankets and breathed on them to make a man and a woman, for instance, here. And come up here and you can see this is another pot with the corn on it. This design is popular with the Pueblo people. This is made by Fei Cao, this carving here. And here, if you come over here to this pot, this is more the classical pottery. This is a little bit small, but one would be shaped just like it. They would stretch, skin over it, and they have a beater, and this would be a drum. This style, but this is the classical style for that. And over here, I have this is a pottery made like the horny toad here. So I often see that. The horny toad is pretty significant. After all, he definitely found changing woman. Now, a little anecdote here. You can just come back here for a minute. Back to here, Tony Hillerman and John McGinnis. The real John McGinnis, however, lives straight across, like a latitude, straight across to the east side of Binatah to another trading post. And this trading post is Shadow Mountain Trading Post. And the proprietor there is Bill Beaver. And he does wear coveralls like John McGinnis. I don't know if he sips bourbon, out of a Coca-Cola glass. He might there. He has a rather long gray-haired ponytail here. So he is the real McGinnis here. And he promoted, I would call it, or encouraged the Navajo pottery. And so he had a lot of the Navajo pottery there in his shop. His building, his shop, was about as plain and unadorned as you could possibly have it. And the same as McGinnis's, Short Mountain, he doesn't have any parking lot that's paved. He just has, dirt, because he doesn't want tour buses to stop there. And inside, I'm not sure if the floor was ever swept. It's pretty dusty. And nothing painted, just these bare shelves that are sagging from the weight of pottery that's on it there. And so this is a correlation to show that, as Hillerman's mention of the changing of the fourth world into the fifth world. By the way, this book was published in 1978, and it was here earlier than that we learned of the fifth world taking place from Josephine Kalatica. Yeah, here. So I didn't want to say that because I want to say here, this clay pot here I got there from Bill Beaver here. And I had asked him, what was the oldest one he had in the store, and that was the one. I don't remember now the woman's name who made that. And then we can go over here to this piece. This was made by Etta Reck. I think she was from near Tuba City. And what it is, it's a traditional like water vessel. It's woven with sumac and then it's coated with pine pitch. In fact, all of the pottery has been coated with pine pitch when they were new. Some of these it has worn away, but that is one. And here I'm going to show you way down here. Here is an old one that somebody found, and I found it from somebody else, that is woven like a canteen, where you see that the pine pitch has gotten very old and still adhering to it here. And while we're down here, you can just go down here. I've converted this mound, into the horny toad, into rock shirt. And then we go here. This is another image that I formerly thought looks good for somebody who's elegant, like changing woman. So you can say that. And then here, to bring up here to this very elegantly made Navajo doll, is what we call them. So she would be just as well standing in for that. And the sand painting we call, these sand paintings are themselves, like we're saying, they're sacred. They embody sacred beings. This one is Lightning Girl, and this is made by Jan Bigay. And this on top of her head, this going up and straight across, means transformation. And here in her hand, she is holding the frond of life, the spruce here. So that's it, Lightning Girl here. And to go all the way over there below Claudia's painting of rock shirt, here I still have the rabbit. The rabbit is also the dawn. So we are here at a dawn with a changing woman coming into being, and focusing on that. Changing woman is woman with a sphinx-like quality. No matter how much we know about her, the total is a great question mark. She is the mystery of reproduction of life, springing from nothing. She is the last hope of our moving world, a riddle perpetually solved and perennially springing up anew. Here, the one who is named Changing Woman is pretty close to the real names of every girl. Aho. Oh. So, I got it covered, right? And so now Claudia has another song from the Navajo to conclude this with. And so I hope you all join in this very unique Native American Navajo. You rattle?
Oh.
This is all unrehearsed, so.
I am grateful to be here with Atsanahilihere and wishing her a return birthday with all of you, and want to tell you the words to this very pretty much classical song for the Dene is all about being grateful. I am alive, I am alive, I am grateful to be alive. And it's all about the gratitude of that, and that everywhere is beautiful. So those are basically the words and what they translate into. Shinasha, 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 Ozola Janashaya He. Ahala Avunasha, Ahala Avunasha, Shinasha, 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 Ola Janashaya He. ha ala adonasha, ha ala adonasha. Shinasha, 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 ola denasha yake naya.
Oh.
Thank you.